Welcome to this Hamm ZSM pipe installation instructional video. Before any installation can begin, please make sure that all health and safety precautions are taken. These include, but are not limited to, PPE, safety, medical, inspection of all your equipment, the placement and proximity of your equipment, the necessary preparation of your system, the positioning of your crane, and making sure that the crane size is accurate. And once all these checks are in place, you can begin. Installation procedure Step 1. Placement of the assembling table. Placement of the assembling table over the borehole. Lower the assembly onto the well head base. Align the holes of the head and base and seat with the holes aligned, and install and fasten the holding down bolts to the concrete base. Centralize the assembling table with the borehole casing to ensure there is even space all around. Ensure the assembling table is level and that the holding down bolts are in place before continuing with the installation. Ensure there are no sharp edges on the borehole casing. Step 2. Placement of the cable dispensers around the borehole. Cable dispensers are to be positioned on an even surface and are to be aligned with the center of the borehole. Place all cable dispensers close to the borehole for the extension boom to be positioned next to the riser pipe, which will ensure trouble-free installation. This will position the cable directly above the borehole in its correct position. This will also assist with taking the full load of each cable. The extension boom will be high enough to allow enough workspace around the borehole and to allow movement of manpower. The slack of the cable will be controlled by the gearbox, which eliminates all hazards. Step 3. Preparation of work to place the motor in pump assembly stand. Prepare the ground surface area where the stand will be placed. Ensure that the assembly stand is 100% level. The best practice is to have the concrete base underneath the stand, close to the well if possible. Start with preparation work to lift the motor from the storage wooden crate it was transported in and inspect if there are any damages to the wooden crate. Lift the motor from a horizontal position to a vertical position using suitable lifting equipment. Remove the motor from the packaging by attaching the 2 leg chains to the eye bolts. Lift the motor slowly from the horizontal position to the vertical position. Examine the motor to be sure no damages occurred during the transport or offloading. Inspect the lead-out cable for any damage. Step 4. Place the motor in the pump assembly stand. Slowly move the motor to the pump assembly stand and place the motor into the tube in the middle of the assembly stand. Guide the motor into the tube, always keeping hands outside the danger area between the tube and the motor. Ensure that the lead-out cables are guided along with the motor to prevent any damage to the cables. Ensure the motor is level before decoupling the sling and removing the eye bolts. Step 5. Preparation works on the motor. Ensure to read the pump manual. Start with preparation work on the motor before connecting to the pump. Clean the surface of the motor. Ensure the rubber seal is in place, which protects the mechanical seal. Remove the motor shaft protector. Make sure the motor shaft can be rotated manually before assembly can continue. Fill up the motor with the following. Remove the plug. Top up the motor with motor fluid until it overflows as per manual. Install the PT100 as per manual instructions. Step 6. Connect the lifting device to the pump and lift the pump into position. Remove the pump from the packaging by using slings to keep the pump in a horizontal position. Safely place the pump in a horizontal position where the Hamm pump adapter, which has the ZSM female coupling on the one end and threaded end on the other. Remove the cable guards to prevent damage to it. Completely screw in the Hamm pump adapter directly into the non-return valve of the pump. Ensure that the adapter is completely screwed in before securing the joint with the grub screw. Then connect the Hamm lifting device to the pump unit by placing the male end of the lifting device into the female end of the pump adapter while the pump is still in a horizontal position. Secure it with the 2 off chains into its positioned grooves. Lift the pump into a vertical position to connect the pump and motor as per manual. Step 7. Lift the pump into position. Move the pump unit to the pump stand. Feed the PT100 sensor cable through the designated hole in the pump's motor bracket. Lubricate the motor shaft with a light coat of food-grade and waterproof grease against wearing due to the eventual presence of sand. Slowly lower the pump to connect the pump sleeve to the motor shaft. Ensure that the key is in the correct position and lower completely. Fasten screw bolts supplied diagonally using a torque wrench to the correct bolt values. Step 8. Cable termination. The cable terminations can run parallel with the connection of the pump and motor. Electricians must ensure that the correct connecting sequence has been followed. Read the pump manual or phone the pump manufacturer. Ensure that a mega test is done on the motor before the cable termination can continue. The power lead-out cables will then be terminated to 2 cable drum cables supplied. The PT100 cable will also be terminated. Step 9. Install the pump assembly into the well. Once the cable terminations are complete, lift the complete pump unit out of the pump assembly stand and move it to the borehole. Ensure to guide the cabling. Centralize the pump unit with the center of the assembling table. Ensure to guide the cables. Open the clamp doors by hand of the assembling table and carefully lower the motor into the borehole at the point where the cables can be reached. Slowly lower the motor into the borehole casing until the point where the cabling can be reached. There will be multiple single-core cables which need to be tightened down next to the pump into the dedicated cable slots. Ensure that there are no sharp edges. Take the lead-out cables with the PT100 and neatly strap it in its dedicated path, where the cable guards will keep it secure alongside the pump. Ensure to torque the bolts to the correct specification. Step 10. Installation of the Hamm ZSM equipment. The complete pump unit can then be lowered into the borehole to the point where the ZSM pump adapter collar reaches the top of the assembling table, where the doors will be closed and the ZSM collar seats into the slot of the ZSM spacing. Ensure that the cables are guided to prevent damage. Ensure the cables are laying properly in their cable slots before closing the doors. Remove the 2 chains from the grooves of the ZSM coupling to loosen the lifting device from the ZSM pump adapter with a mobile crane. The pump unit total weight will rest on the assembling table. The lifting device can now be used to collect the riser pipe. Step 11. Connecting a riser pipe with a pump adapter. Insert the male side of the lifting device into the female side of the ZSM riser pipe while it is in its horizontal position, and add the wheel lifting device onto the other end of the male side to lift the riser pipe from a horizontal to vertical position. Secure it with the 2 chains into its positioned grooves to lift the ZSM riser pipe from horizontal to vertical position and move it to the borehole. Insert the O-rings onto the male end of the riser pipe. Ensure the surface is clean and free of any dust. Make use of standard Vaseline to rub on the O-ring before installing them on the male end. This is to ensure for easy installation and that the O-ring does not get damaged. Centralize the riser pipe with the center of the pump adapter. Lower the male end of the riser pipe into the female coupling, ensuring the anti-rotation slots are aligned. Insert the 2 chains into its grooves to secure the lift and place the dust cover plates to prevent dirt entering the chain grooves. Ensure that the cabling is routed correctly. Step 12. Lowering the riser pipe and clamp cables with the HCL clamps. Slowly lift the complete unit to open the clamp doors by hand of the assembling table, and carefully lower the ZSM riser pipe through the opening of the assembling table. Guide the cables and make use of the cable dispensers to ensure that there is no slack in the borehole. Lower the riser pipe into the borehole casing. Attach the power cables to the side of the riser pipe with the custom-designed HCL cable clamps. The smart plastic clamps will be spaced evenly from each other as per design on each length of the ZSM pipe, which will keep the cables in place, and cable strap in between the smart clamp. Ensure the cable is adjusted enough by using the HCL torque wrench supplied. Once the equipment is lowered deep enough for the clamp doors to be closed again, Close both clamp doors while the crane slowly lowers the pump unit until the ZSM collar seats on the gate of the door clamps. Ensure the cables are laying properly in cable slots before closing the doors. Remove the 2 chains from the grooves of the ZSM coupling to loosen the lifting device from the ZSM female end with the mobile crane. The pump unit total weight will rest on the assembling table. After completion of the male and female connection, the same procedure will be followed as stated above to complete the installation of the riser pipes until the installation depth is reached. Step 13. Connect the ZSM pipe support to the assembling table. Once the installation depth has been reached, the last riser pipe to be installed is the supporting pipe, which will be lifted from a horizontal position into the vertical. Insert the O-rings onto the male end of the riser pipe. Ensure the surface is cleaned and free of any dust. Make use of standard Vaseline to rub on the O-ring before installing them on the male end. This is to ensure easy installation and that the O-rings do not get damaged. Centralize the riser pipe with the center of the pump adapter as done before. Lower the male end of the riser pipe into the female coupling, ensuring the anti-rotation slots are aligned. Insert the 2 chains into its grooves, secure the lift, and place the dust covers to prevent dirt entering the chain grooves. Slowly lift the complete unit to open the clamp doors by hand of the assembling table, and carefully lower the ZSM riser pipe through the opening of the assembling table. Close both doors of the assembling table. Ensure to guide the cables through the dedicated cable slots in the assembling table before closing the doors completely. Lower the complete system until the support bracket rests on the assembling table, and secure the bolts to ensure the installation is safe. Note that the assembling table will then form part of the header for permanent installation. Install the adapter piece with the gasket over the female coupling of the supporting pipe, which then changes from the ZSM to flange. The ZSM system is now installed completely and the header works can now be assembled. Step 14. Installation of the header works and commissioning. Install the header works on the surface. This concludes the installation video.